Hi and welcome to the New Mind podcast. I wanted to just quickly ask you a big favour. I know everybody does this these days and I am joining the gang. I'm going to ask you at the beginning of this episode to please subscribe to this channel. I am very slowly growing my channel, and it's been lovely over the last few weeks to see so many new subscribers. But by paying attention to other people, I've realised I need to start asking. I need to grow the channel. When we grow the channel, we attract better guests and the quality can improve week on week, month on month. Now, I'm very lucky that I've had some amazing guests so far, so I can only imagine the guests I'm going to be able to get if you lovely people will hit that subscribe button. Now, enjoy the episode. How did you get into close protection work?
Ricky Hatton was coming to Bournemouth. A friend of mine said, we need some security for him. Would you mind bodyguarding for him? And I was like, yeah. He said, how much do you want? I said, I'll do it for free. I'm such a boxing fan. I love Ricky Hatton. I ended up working with Frank Bruno a lot. There's things that I love that I end up, it's like I'm manifesting. I don't know, but they happen.
What type of person have you seen where they are that type of person that will touch someone or grab someone, or who are those people?
Weird men who are just obsessed.
Ugh.
Yeah, someone punched Leona Lewis in the face once at a book signing.
My God. I believe that you've manifested loads of really good things.
Yeah.
Explain that to me if you can.
So I've had so many experiences. So one of my biggest heroes was the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno.
I used to love that show.
Yeah, one of the best, right?
One of the best, yeah.
So I got a phone call. A friend of mine said to me, because Mark, this guy's coming to the UK to do a film. He wants 3 big guys to be like bodyguards in the movie. I said, yeah, well, I've never done anything before. And he said, yeah, well, if you want to do it. I said, yeah, I'll do it. He said, what's the dollar? I said, I'll do it for free. Again, I'll do it for free. Even if I do it once, I don't mind. He said, you know who the goodie is, don't you? I said, no. He said, he's an American guy called Lou Ferrigno. I went, nah. The actual Incredible Hulk.
How
we had to come at him with a gun and he shot us.
Right, today we welcome Marc with a C, Smith, who is Close Protection Officer. But 30 years, you said, isn't it, Marc?
32 years.
32 years.
Year.
So not that anyone could possibly believe that, because you don't look a day over 22.
There we go. I like that. That's good. We're good.
But also recently, where you're from, Bournemouth, you'd noticed a few problems with the younger people, especially with knife crime. And so recently you've really sort of spent some time building up a project, I suppose we could call it, where you're blending boxing, mindset, discipline, manners, all those sorts of things to get the kids who are seen as perhaps bad lads or bad kids into a community space, doing something that benefits their body, mind and soul. Yeah. So that's kind of what you're doing at the moment. And I know there's loads of different projects still going on. You're still a close protection officer now. Yeah. And I guess I'm interested in you and your story because it's not the most regular of jobs. I've never really, since we're doing the podcast, I've met a few people that do close protection work, but there's something very different about that mindset. And I want to explore that because I think those of us that do the average jobs, we look at other people and go, well, how did they get into that and why? Yeah. So let's take you back to the beginning. Tell me about growing up. Are you from Bournemouth?
Yes, I'm from Bournemouth. My parents are very working class. My mum was a care worker. She still does it now. She's in her mid-70s, still works in care homes.
Bless her.
My dad was a car upholsterer. He worked for Rolls-Royce. He was well into his cars. He basically upholstered for them, and so I grew up always around like posh vintage cars and stuff. But he was a very, strong working class, zero tolerance kind of guy. And my mum was the more softer side. But I did my education. I was a good kid. I did my thing. I never classed myself as intelligent, as in academic. I didn't really do very well at school. I hated school. I didn't like it. Yeah. But I did it. I always turned up. I did my thing, and I did what I needed to do until it was time to go. When I left school, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, if I'm honest. I had a vision that I wanted to do customs and excise.
Really?
Yeah, it's a strange one, but I like.
No one's ever said that to me ever.
I know. Yeah, I just like the thought of going out on boats and searching for drugs and stuff like that.
Wow, like a sort of investigative.
Yeah, I was never really interested in the police, but that I was quite excited about, and
That's very specific, Mark.
very specific. So I did it for work experience.
Wow.
Like for 2 weeks, and because we live in Poole. Well, Poole is very close. And
Yeah.
there's a big customs and excise base there.
Well, that makes more sense, actually. It's from Northampton. No one's ever said that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but where you're from, actually, it's probably
Yes.
more. Yeah.
So I did that, and then going back. So there's me, and I've got 2 brothers. I'm the oldest of the 3. So ironically, I'm just about to turn 50.
I know you are.
Yeah. So
This is a big year.
It is a big year. It's a very big year for so many reasons, and this is why it's really interesting to come on here.
Yeah.
With you. So I'm very grateful that
Aww.
I'm on. But yeah, I've got 2 brothers. Sean, the youngest one, he's 43, and then a middle brother, Richard, he's 47 now. So my mum and dad had 3 boys.
Gosh.
So
I mean, especially I would imagine for your mum, who's that soft carer type. I bet 3 boys can be a bit of a handful.
I think we were.
Are you all big as well now?
Yeah, we're all big.
Is she little?
She's 5'4".
Yeah.
Short. My youngest brother, he's bigger than me. He's 6'3".
Wow.
He was an NFL player.
Was he?
He went to the States and got contracted to South Carolina Panthers. So that's why when we brought Jeff on before, Jeff had a lot to.
Of course, yeah. And just so that people know, when we say Jeff, we mean Shadow Gladiators, because you do some work with Jeff, don't
That's
you?
right. That's right.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 boys as just working class background in Bournemouth. Beautiful place. Bournemouth's a beautiful town if you've ever been. But,
gorgeous place.
It's a nice place. So we grew up, especially when we grew up, it was a nice time to grow up.
Yeah, I'm
nice
sure.
Little seaside town. So yeah.
Where's the knife crime issue in Bournemouth at the minute? Just to digress slightly.
So there, Bournemouth Beach and Bournemouth Town Centre, where things are going with a lot of towns and cities, the high street is becoming depleted, isn't it? Shops are shutting down. We're getting a lot of gangs floating around the town, and there's just kids carrying knives, blades, worse, machetes and all sorts.
They just don't think about it. They don't think, we've got quite a lot of a problem here now as well, which it's not, it is, everybody that I speak to about this, because we never used to have this problem, but everyone now is going, we never used to have this problem. And now they are having this problem. Kids have no longer got any fear. No. They don't know what they're doing.
They haven't got a clue.
And, we grew up, I mean, I'm a tiny bit younger than you, but we grew up at a time when it was unheard. I mean, someone might have a Swiss Army knife. Yeah. And if they did, they wouldn't want to use it. It was just to look tough. Yeah. I mean, not that you can look that tough with a Swiss Army knife, but, it was the way it was. No one ever used knives then. And so it's quite different.
It's very scary.
It is really scary.
What's very scary is that they're now carrying it as a fashion item.
I know.
It's cool to have.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. So when we were kids, I mean, I never carried anything around. If I felt that I needed to toughen myself up, I'd do boxing or something. Of
course, yeah.
But now they carry stuff, and fear of, they're not even worried about prison. In fact, some of them find it fashionable to go to prison. It's cool to say.
It's something to do.
Yeah. So the inhibitors are not there anymore.
No.
And because we can't come down hard on people. Yeah. They need that. And because that's not there, there's no fear.
They literally will, they'll get at best a few months. Yeah. I mean, but what these kids don't realise, and we are digressing because I want to go back to your story, but what these kids don't realise is that if you take one of those massive monster knives and put it into someone's heart, they are going to die. That is murder. They're done. And then you're in a system that, I mean, I've had Kev Lane on recently and he's sort of spoken about how prison is not, I mean, people might go, well, prison probably shouldn't be safe, but it still needs to be safe and secure. It still needs to have order, and the order is lost. And I think it was from, I don't know whose episode I was watching. They were talking about, it might have been Liam. He might have been introducing someone that we cannot name, beginning with a T. I think he was interviewing him. and they were talking about someone had been, this is in Wood Hill, someone had been beheaded using bed sheets in the yard.
Unbelievable.
I mean, like, prison is
Wow.
no joke. I mean, the sentences might not be long, but when
Yeah.
you go in there, what you see is going to change you forever. So going back to a nicer time, Mark.
Yeah.
That's gone
There
down
were
a
nice
dark road.
times.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
were. Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Growing up. Again, not really enjoying school, not really knowing what you want to do, but sort of having this dream of going to customs and excise.
Yeah.
How did you then get into close protection work?
So going back to the school. So I was one of those kids that got bullied. Primary school, secondary school, primary school. So I had my primary school years were quite tough.
Right.
And my dad was he had no time for that, and respect that he wasn't going to be like, oh, let's go and see the parent. He was well, you go back in there and you knock them out.
Old school.
It was old school,
Yeah.
which I didn't like at the time, but it actually worked. It was the right way to do it for me.
Yeah.
And so I think what happened was I kind of fell in love, or did I fall in love, or did I want to be? Maybe I wanted to be more macho. That's the truth of it. I think because I wasn't, I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I felt that was how I needed to be from now. And then so I got into boxing, and then I also came through an era where our movie icons were Arnold Schwarzenegger and
The
people
best.
like that. So
Yeah.
I was watching these films, Rocky. And then I thought, well, the customs thing wasn't really working. It wasn't going to work out. The reason why it wasn't going to work out is because the border controls had stopped because of the European Union.
Got you.
So they scrapped it all. It was the last in, first out. So
Good for you, though, because it led you to another
well,
place.
it did.
Yeah.
So I thought, what can I do which will earn me some money in the daytimes while I just want to hit the gym in the day.
Yeah.
And the easiest thing was to do security. It wasn't a job that I planned to do. But I started working pubs and clubs. I was doing 5 or 6 nights a week, but I loved it. It was just fun. Yeah, I loved it. I could go to the gym in the daytime, get as big as I wanted, and train as much, eat what I want, chill out in the daytime. We lived in Bournemouth, go down the beach, and then work on the door in the evenings. But as that developed, the guy that I used to work for, his name was Pete Boucher. He's no longer with us, but his company was expanding very fast around the UK. And although I was young, he kind of identified that I was, I don't want to say the average bouncer because that's not fair. There's some really good ones, but I was a little bit more intelligent. I was a bit more articulate. And he was like, we'd like you to manage some events and stuff, and well, I'll pay for you to stay in Reading or wherever they had a new venue. So I was becoming more managerial. And
how old?
I would have been about 24, 25.
It amazes me, because if you think about doormen,
yeah,
now that you're 50 this year and I'm nearing that, you kind of want doormen that are our age.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But now, if you think about a 24-year-old, like, to me, that's a kid still. And I know that's really patronising.
Yeah.
And sorry to anyone that feels patronised, but I look at them and think, well, you're just a kid. How are you going to look after me?
Well, so this is the thing, because all I want to do, and I was never a boy, I was always level-headed.
Yeah.
But still, I'm pumping in the gym in the daytime. I want the tightest shirt to wear on the door that night. And I'm not looking for it, but I'm waiting for a trouble to fling them out.
Yeah, you want that moment.
It's the last thing I think of now. I would talk until the cows go home to diffuse a situation.
Yeah.
But this is how it came to the close protection stuff. I realised that I was very good at the security world, but I wanted to move on. And I said to the guy I was working for, I've been doing this nearly 10 years now. I've got to do something else. Can't just do security forever. He said, well, I do. He was ex-SPS.
Right.
So he did lots of close protection, Royal Ascot for the royal family and different things. He said, look, if I invest in you, I'll pay the money and get you trained up. You can come and do some close protection work. I said, yeah, I love that.
Wow.
Definitely.
Was it that easy?
What, the training?
Well, just that whole process, because, obviously if you want, I say this because a lot of people want to do things and they'll go, I could never do that because I'm from this area, or I've not got any money, or, so I'm just wondering, to step into that next level of close protection for that level of person, is it quite an arduous, I mean, it seems like you knew the right people to speak to get that foot in the door.
there's two routes. You're either very experienced in the military,
Yeah.
and they pay for you to do your training. The training is extensive, and then it opens the doors. Doesn't mean you're going to get into it still.
No.
You still got to produce the goods.
Yeah.
But you've kind of got an open door through. Or you're like me as a civilian. So I had to work a lot harder at it, I believe. Yes, word of mouth. It all comes down to word of mouth recommendation.
Yeah.
But what kicked it off for me is that we had Ricky Hatton was coming to Bournemouth on a tour. He was still at the height of his fame then.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine said, look, we've got Ricky Hatton coming down. We need some security for him. Would you mind like bodyguarding for him? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, how much do you want? I said, I'll do it for free. I'm such a boxing fan. I love Ricky Hatton. So anyway, he came down, worked just a day for him. But at that event, there was Frank Bruno. There was all these different people. I met the event organizer. And of course, I'm big on feedback. So I was like, how did I do? And they're like, yeah, you did amazing. Next time we do this, we'll get you on the team. And cut long short, I ended up working with Frank Bruno a lot.
Did you?
Doing
Lovely
Frank's
Frank.
security. Yeah,
He's
I love
got a
Frank.
gym here.
Has
Frank
he?
Bruno, yeah.
Oh,
sweet.
his foundation.
Yeah, that's right. It's based here, not too far away, actually.
I wish I'd known that because
Yeah.
I need to come back. So Frank and I like become friends.
Aww.
I'm not saying we ring each other, but if we see each other, or if he's come to Bournemouth, he'll always ring us and come to Bournemouth. So
It's lovely.
yeah, and I love it. And that again to me was like a dream come true because I used to watch Frank fight.
Yeah.
Every fight in the
God,
90s.
he was just the superstar, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a common thing from my life. There's things that I love that I end up, it's like I'm manifesting. I don't know, but they happen. Suddenly I'm watching Frank as a kid and then I'm working with him and he's like a friend of mine. It's like crazy.
That's amazing.
There's a lot of instances where it's happened. But so I did that. And then I thought I really liked this close protection. The reason why I liked it was because unlike the pubs and clubs, it's thankless. You can save lives. No one cares.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you're paid to that. We're paying you 10 quid an hour to do that. Get over it.
And to be spoken to like dirt a lot of the time. Yeah.
Whereas close protection was different because if you were the client and we're going somewhere and I say, well, if I say we've got to leave, because you're paying me because you trust my judgment.
Yes.
And that's how it was. And I ended up working around all over the world and for various clients. There's lots of the like celebrity stuff.
Yeah.
Which actually wasn't my favourite, but I worked with lots of them. And then I started working with people that you wouldn't know, property developers or just a wealthy someone.
Super rich.
Yeah, super rich people.
Gosh, so you've been around
Yeah.
lots of different types of human.
Lots of different
And I
types.
say that in that way because we are all very much the same. But actually, I think our backgrounds and our way of life can lean into different personality types, temperaments, and all those things that I think people think of close protection as the muscle and obviously psychologically you mentioned ex-military there, the sort of level of training that you have to go through. You've got to be sharp and you've got to be aware, but I think psychologically you've got to be a bit of a chameleon as well, because you could be with a billionaire one minute and a boxer the next, a celebrity the next, and you have to be able to really work out those I guess the semantics of who that person is and their type of personality. You've really got to be like blending in with that, haven't you, for those times, whilst also being professional, whilst also being the leader. And that takes a very unique personality, I think, because you can't just go, right, what I say goes. You've really got to understand them. And so what makes you good at that, do you think? You mentioned manifestation there, and I think you're obviously a bit of a deeper thinker than the average. Well, I say than the average, but actually maybe you just say it more than the average person does. So what makes you feel that you're different in that way? Like how do you navigate those different personalities?
Well, I believe I've always had a protective instinct anyway.
Yeah.
So that I've had that since I was young. So
the older brother thing, do you think?
Maybe that.
Yeah.
Maybe that. But I've always felt it, and I still feel it to this day. I do feel I have an awareness where I can identify threat. I can go somewhere and I can feel it, and So I'm
Energy.
yeah, massive on energy. So
Yeah.
I'm always like, I feel like I'm 3 or 4 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And if I'm with someone, a loved one or family, I'm identifying, and it's not like I'm thinking of me, I'm thinking of them automatically. But I've
Right.
always felt it.
Tell me, this is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Maybe not to anybody else, but that's really interesting that you talk about protection. I had
Yeah.
this conversation with Kevin Lane, funnily enough, because something that happened in his life, just very, very briefly, was that his brother had to have brain surgery early on, had to have metal plates put in his head, had to wear a special little hat. He was a couple of years younger than his brother, but what happened was he saw these boys that were also older than him picking on his brother, and he basically sorted it out.
Yeah.
And he was like, why do you think I was like that? And why do you think I've become like this John Wayne character throughout my life? And I said, well, it's either because, you know, you saw your brother being vulnerable and you realise then that it is your job to protect him, or there's something genetic there. There's like a genetic predisposition. It
Yeah.
could be grandparents, great-grandparents, whatever. Or it's the stories that you're told when you're growing up. So with you from a very young age, it appears, having that risk assessment going on a lot of the time, but also having that protective energy about you. Why do you think that was that? I mean, you mentioned being bullied.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it starts there, or do you think there's more to it than that?
I think there's, well, you just said something there with Kevin, which is relevant to me, because my middle brother, when he was 15, he was involved in a hit and run.
Oh,
So he's alive.
wow.
He's fit and well, but he was on his way back from work cycling, and someone knocked him off his bike. It was a wet, dark evening.
My God.
And they left him for dead, basically. And I always remember, so he went to hospital. He had to go to Southampton Neurological because it was an emergency.
Oh my God.
He had to have half his head cut away, basically. So
Bloody
blood
hell.
clots. Yeah, it was horrific. And you know, we didn't honestly think he would live. He was in a coma for 6 months. Yeah, and I remember driving. I had my first car. I used to drive up every day to see him. And we had to sit, well, I say we had to, we sat there and we were talking to him, even though we didn't think he would understand or hear. But the nurse is like, no, you need to keep talking to him, talk to him about your day. And I remember, because we thought we'd lost him, 100%. And even if he did come out of the coma, they said he'll be a cabbage, or however you would call it now.
Yeah.
So, of course, the day he did come round, we still thought he would be in a very bad way. So that is very interesting. And I've never, ever thought about this, but that actually, I remember how protective we were as a family, but me, because I believe I had it anyway, over him. So everywhere he went, he had to learn to walk again. He was in a wheelchair for a year.
Yeah.
So that is a very interesting point.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think for me was that as a child, as I said about being bullied, I kind of had to deal with that myself. But my dad was very protective, in the respect that he didn't show love at all. I don't think he ever told me he loved me, maybe once, which is very difficult. But he would protect.
Yeah.
There was nothing. You'd never feel in fear, because he was the ultimate. You know, if I was in danger or any of us, he would do anything to protect us.
So that became a language of love.
That was his language. He couldn't say he loved us.
Yeah.
He wouldn't today, still, I don't think, but he's still alive. But he would do anything to protect you. You never felt unsafe or unprovided for. So
that's very interesting.
So maybe they have an impact. I
would imagine. And also, I'm so interested in the epigenetic side of things as well, because most of us don't think about our ancestors, but we know through genetic expression and the codes that keep getting handed down that we embody the stories of before. So it'd be interesting to know what your grandparents were like and your great-grandparents. And we tend to take on the genetic coding of our grandparents.
Right.
So it's interesting for the listeners, and probably for you, to sort of wonder about what our grandparents were like. I think I'm quite similar to my maternal grandmother, who died when I was quite young, but there's lots of similarities between us in terms of mental health, in terms of where I feel stress somatically in my body.
Yeah.
And that sort of links in with the stories that I know to be true about her.
Yeah.
And it's a fascinating area. So when we're looking at the why, be it that we're looking at why we're successful or why we've had some bad luck, I say that in inverted commas because I don't believe luck is good or bad. I think it's all about opportunity and seeing the opportunity. But we can feel hard done by, and then it's tracing that back. But for you, it's quite clear that, you know, some of your protectiveness is a love language, but some of it is probably born out of needing to protect yourself, but also having this experience with your brother, which would have been life-changing for everybody.
But I've never thought about that. It's interesting because you just brought that. I'd never thought about that before. Yeah. But now I think about it, that would have had a big impact.
A huge impact. Yeah. That is a life-changing event.
Yeah, it is actually,
Because to be so young, you would have been, what, 17, 18?
Yeah, I would have been 17.
It's still a formative time in your life. Your prefrontal cortex not fully developed till 25, so you're still developing at that point in terms of your executive function. Yeah. So for something like that to happen before you've got that full development, it will infiltrate your belief systems and the way you are as a person, I believe. So
it's interesting you said about that, the close protection stuff of the how you deal with different clients. You, again, it's very relevant. Like I remember spending a couple of weeks with one of the EastEnders cast, and I won't say his name, but he was known as a tough guy, very tough guy. Right. And he was an interesting one because there was 3 of us, and the first thing he was like, "Well, you can't be seen to be looking after me. You've got to stay well away." We're like, so how do we deal with this then when something happens? He said, you just got to stay away because I've got an image to maintain. Yeah. Whereas he would I know who you probably about. Will. Yeah. And he actually he was actually a really nice guy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But then there's others that want you with them no matter what, like 2 inches
close,
away. Yeah, all the time,
physically close,
and they become very close, and you become not friends as such, but you know they want you there all the time, and they listen to everything you say. If you got to be at a certain time, you got to wake up at certain times. You're on the road, you're on the hotels.
A bit like a parent,
very much so, because they don't really have everything done for them. You know, and if it depends if they're like childhood stars. I've not really done. Mine would be like the X Factor, for example. When X Factor was big, as soon as they got set, they would they bring their life story. It always used to make me laugh. The life story book. They'd be like 18, but the first thing they get is a life story book. So suddenly they've gone from a normal kid on the street to a superstar, like Leona Lewis and One Direction. I spent loads of time with these people, and they don't know how to deal with that fame. So you're like, okay, tomorrow morning you got this, so you need to wake up. In it first, like, Leona, you got to be wake up 8:30. Then in the end, you're like, you realise they're listening. Right, you got to be up at 8:30 in the morning. You got breakfast. There's a car waiting. Okay, cool. Yeah, and they do it. But if in the early days you're like, I'm telling them I'm just the hired help. Yeah. But when they start to realise you're doing the job properly, they just do exactly as you tell them. You should do. They're the clients to have, basically.
That's an interesting point because you mentioned about the you're not really a friend. It's more of a parental role. Yeah. How does it feel to be? I mean, I'm coming away from some of the action-based stuff, which I'm sure a lot of listeners are going to want to talk about or hear about. Sorry, but I'm really interested in how do you manage that? I'm trying to think of. I don't know you very well, but I've got to really look after you. Yeah. And I can't be your friend, and I'm not really your parent, but I've really got to care. There is a real unusual dynamic in that. Probably a bit like therapy, because I'm sitting opposite someone, sometimes being the only person in the entire world that understands their trauma or knows about their trauma or knows about certain elements of their life, whether they've cheated on their partner or whether they've, bought prostitutes or whether they've been raped or whether they've, been involved in a murder even. I mean, the broad spectrum. And they're telling me these things and I'm caring about them and trying to look at the ways of helping or assisting them to rebuild, reprocess. And yet we're not friends, but we have this real closeness. You mentioned this word close. So I suppose that's why I'm so interested in your role, because yours is more of a physical role and mine's more emotional, mental role. But it's a similar dynamic. You've got to blend around all these different people and mold around them, and you've got to be able to support them and love them and care about them. But equally, you're not really in their lives.
No.
In fact, I'm a secret in a lot of, to a lot of people, because they don't want to tell their partner or the family that they're seeing someone. Yeah. So you're probably not so much a secret, but you see where I'm going with that. So for you, how do you manage to be so like integral at protecting them whilst also remaining quite distant?
Yeah, and it is difficult because there's some people that are, well, you have to be firm.
Yeah.
There's some people that are making wrong decisions. So you might be out with let's say it's a famous boxer, for example. They're doing a book tour or some kind of press conference, and then there's so many people swarming around them. Or it could be women. Often women's the worst.
Of course, I can imagine.
Because there's attention.
Yeah.
And suddenly they go back to the hotel and there's a girl sat in there, and I know that you need to not be sat with that girl.
Yes.
Because I know that you're going to have another drink and another drink.
Yeah.
And then you'll go, Dave, for example, you need to think about going up. Yeah, Mark, it's fine. It was chatting. I know where that's going to go.
Yeah. Because
she's giving you all these signs and you're buying drinks and
you're watching intently.
You can see it.
Yeah.
And you just have to be very, very firm. But it's very hard to be firm if you've got someone who's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, if he ain't moving, he ain't moving.
Yeah, what can you do?
Exactly.
But I suppose that's where you have to know the boundary. It's the same with a therapist. You have to know the boundary.
That's right. And it's about how you talk to them before and after.
Yes.
And it's the same with non-famous clients. You could be driving someone around, they go to a meeting and, we need to be somewhere else. And then suddenly they're just gone on a bender. And you're like, 5 hours later, you should have been in bed. But now you're off on a bender and you've got a flight to catch in 2 hours or something stupid. So it's very difficult. The way I deal with it is that, if they are too much, I just don't work for them anymore. I've realised it's not worth the hassle.
That's very interesting, knowing when to pull back.
Worth the stress. It's really not worth the stress.
Because I'd imagine that in your early days, it's an exciting world to be in.
Very exciting.
And to know that boundary, to know when to pull back and to go, do you know what, this is not worth it.
100%.
It's not going to be an easy decision to make, is it? And you probably feel a lot of guilt at times for leaving that person. I don't know. I can only imagine because I'm not in your role. But same with therapy. There are some times you've just got to say, and you have to do it so ethically, especially in therapy. But, you're turning up here high as a kite and that the rules, you're not allowed to come here inebriated or whatever. You have to really think about whether this is worth it. And, it does take a really strong character to know when to step in and when to step back.
Yeah.
And that must be interesting in terms of your interpersonal relationships as well, because I always say I am a therapist because I'm me. I'm not a therapist because I wanted to be a therapist. It's just a natural thing, and I'd imagine it's similar to you. Yeah. So then how do you not be the close protection person in your own life?
That's right. I mean, there's times when I've taken a client somewhere like central London or something, and I've said, look, we shouldn't be going to that place, or we should be not staying there for too long. And they'll be like, no, it's fine. I'm the people's champ or whatever. It's amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
But 10 people turns to 20, 30, 40, 50. You can have 150 people in 2 minutes suddenly. And then we've got to get you out.
Yeah.
And then that's a problem.
I mean, for you as well, that's scary because in your job, you're there to protect.
Very scary.
So all of a sudden you've got 150 people there. Much harder to do your job.
Yeah. And some characters are, very controversial, like the Katie Price stuff.
Yeah.
Did lots of work with Katie Price.
Yeah.
Most of the people that were queuing up to see her loved her. But then there was fanaticals that just wanted to grab her, touch her. Oof. So you're trying to deal with the client to make sure they're happy all the time, but you're constantly looking, thinking, he, her, are they a problem? Are they not a problem?
Tell
There's
me
so
this.
much to go through.
That's just made me think. I am obviously not famous, so I'm not saying this.
Well, I don't know, you're quite famous now.
I'm not famous in the slightest. No one's ever recognised me apart from once in a petrol station.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the only time it's happened, and it's probably the only time it will happen.
Yeah.
But I would hate to be famous, which people always think, whatever, you know, put yourself on camera all the time.
Yeah.
But I think there's being on camera and there's being famous. And you just mentioned there, people touching Katie Price. I would be a maniac.
Yeah.
I literally, if I was Katie Price, I probably would be in prison right now.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having people touch you or in your face. I mean, I've got a germ phobia for a start. So the thought of anyone touching me or getting in my face is just definitely not a good idea.
Yeah.
What type of person, I've been around some fairly famous people myself, and I would never cross the line. Say if I was to see them, I can't think of the most famous, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go over to him. Because I'd think, God, everyone goes over to him.
Yeah.
You know, why would I want to bother him? He's just a normal person. He is, to a degree, a normal person. But what type of person have you seen where they are that type of person that will touch someone or grab someone, or who are those people?
Well, so they're varying different reasons. I mean, with some of the females, you know, you might get just weird men who are just obsessed.
Yeah.
And they've probably watched the videos and magazines and for ages. And but then there's others which are like, I never looked after Muhammad Ali, but I've attended functions with him.
Yeah.
And he was so great. He was like a godlike figure that people just wanted to touch him.
I'm sure.
And I sat in a room where Muhammad Ali came into, and I've seen grown men just burst into tears as soon as he sat down.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the power that man had was incredible.
Wow.
Because of what he'd done through his life. So they're very different. So someone who just wants to grab someone, you can literally just, come on, pull them away. But if you are that obsessed, there's nothing you can do which is going to stop someone from saying, you know, meeting Muhammad Ali. You have to stop them, but they're just so, if they're loved, really loved, it's a very, very hard thing to deal with. And you have to have a very good team to do it. But
do you know, I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast before, but when I was about 18, I had this stalker and he was obviously very unwell.
Yeah.
He was, I hate to say it, but he looked like a stalker.
Yeah.
He was an overweight man, quite small, unshaven, straggly hair, glasses, you know, the
proper stereotype.
Proper stereotype. And really, like, I got up close to him once, or he got up close to me. And he really smelly, you know, just like everything that you could imagine a stalker would be, he was it. And on my 18th birthday, actually, I used to live around the corner from here opposite the park, and he left dead flowers on the doorstep, and he would follow me around. And what had happened was I'd got a Saturday job in a shopping centre, and I'd obviously see, because it was in one of those shops where the front was open. So it was like a not gated, you know, the shutters would come down. So it was always open, and I'd be on the till and he'd be opposite, and it was outside Burton's menswear shop.
Yeah.
And he would watch me. And I mean, I was 16, 17 or whatever. And so it went on for a long time. We'd watch, but I didn't really notice because it was a busy shopping centre and whatever. And then as I started to live on my own round the corner, he started to be outside in his car and I started to notice him. And I lived in a bedsit, so it was like a house similar to what we're in right now. Yeah. There'd be people living there. So there was a guy downstairs that lived with his girlfriend, so I felt okay because there was someone there. But he'd come and knock on the door, and I'd open the door, and I'd have to try and slam the door in his face because he'd try and grab me. I think this is why I've got such a thing about it. And like I said, he'd leave me dead flowers. He'd follow me around, and there was a little shop, a little mini mart, and I'd go in there and he'd be there and he'd be following me around. Anyway, eventually he tried to run me off the road, and he ended up going to a psychiatric hospital locally, and he'd got a photo of his ex-wife who had died, and he saw a similarity in us, and I think he just got obsessed for that reason. Yeah. But I tell you that story because obviously I think that's why and I've always said I would hate to be famous, and I think it's because of that time. I was petrified of this guy. I mean, I had no idea what he was going to do, and he used to ring me. You know, back in the days where you get the police to listen in on your phone, tap your phone. I had all that going on, And so I think for someone like Katie Price or any of these people that you've looked after, the fear, it's got to be real. Like, how do you cope with that?
And this is another thing. So the problem you have now is that 15, 20 years ago, you're basing it on TV, YouTube, but now people are insta famous.
I know, it's awful.
So if I developed on a session with a random woman, all I've got to do is watch her Instagram every day. I can probably tell where she is. I can tell. It doesn't take long to work out where people live.
No,
just by social media. I have a client who's a famous. We do some work. He's a famous chef,
right?
And he's got a passion for watches and cars and stuff. And he's just bought some very big dogs to take around with him because he likes to put his watches on social media.
God.
So he now gets targeted. Thieves follow him. They know where he works because he's famous. They know they worked out where he lives, and they can target him. And so social media now is a major problem. And a lot of these people, like you're absolutely right. Fame is great if you use it in the right way, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you're not equipped for it, or you're the random person on the street who just has created this massive influencer following, you are a target.
And you don't, and a lot of the time you don't even know.
You don't know. And I've worked with people like this that are not famous at all, but they get stalkers because it's very easy to work out where they work, their daily routines. Because most people have the same routine.
Yeah, they do.
They go to the same coffee shop in the morning.
Yeah.
It's not difficult. If you go around your own lot, I always think for me to be good, if you're a security professional, you need to think as a burglar. Yeah. So for me, I look at it and I think, well, if I wanted to stalk you I've got to protect you, I've got to find out how they think.
Yes.
And unfortunately, so the fame thing, if you manage it right and you go home at the end of the day and you do your thing and you shut off, and great. But unfortunately, social media's made it a lot worse because everyone posts everything, where they are. Go on holiday, you post it day one, probably even at the airport still.
Yeah.
I could probably tell what airport you're at.
Yeah.
What airport you're coming back through. What jewellery you're wearing. Look what happened to Kim Kardashian.
Oh, God. I mean...
all those guys, disgusting men, but they tracked her down because she was posting on social media.
I mean...
When she got robbed.
What do you do about the press? Because that's another one, isn't it? You could talk about stalkers, then you talk about paparazzi.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still as bad as it was, but you look at people like Justin Bieber, who just gets, he had that little moment recently.
Yeah, sad, isn't it?
And you just think, just leave him alone.
That's really
and he confronts them, doesn't he? He says, look, please, just, I'm a dad, I'm a normal bloke or whatever. And they're like, why? Why can't we take a picture?
So with the ones that have, more successful, and obviously he is, but he's kind of... He's going through issues.
Yes.
With the bigger ones, you can normally have an agreement. So you can pull all the press into one room and say, look, you can have all the pictures you want. Mm-hmm. Just when we say don't bother us.
Yeah.
But if you keep bothering us, you won't get any pictures.
Yeah.
You'll get the interviews you want. And most of the professional outlets will honour that because they know they want to get the scoop next week and the week after.
Yes.
But again, you've got, I don't know, who are these media now?
Yeah.
I see stories reported by magazines and social, I've never even heard of, probably not even real.
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
They can
right.
be stalkers.
Yeah.
And that's the scary world you live in now because everything's online.
So your job, and this is why I wanted to go the deep dive.
Yeah.
I know this isn't the whole story, but I wanted to go deep dive for a few moments because I don't think people think about the layers to your job.
No.
Your job is not just standing there looking pretty and looking tough and muscly. It's so complex.
So much.
And that's why I honed in on the type of personality you have to do that work. You're thinking about 100 different things within a split second.
Oh, so quick.
What type of brain can do that, Mark?
Well, I said it at the start, I don't consider myself academically intelligent. I was not very good with exams, but my awareness of human nature, as I put it, and how people I can spot someone who's starting, I believe, to display, conflict signs or is looking for a problem, or the eyes, their body language. People, they display, not all, but most people you can spot straight away.
You have to process very quickly.
Yeah, they're looking at me too. Why are you looking at me? Why are you staring at me? Because they're looking at me to see if I'm looking at them.
Right.
And they want to know, and people will do like what you call reconnaissance. So they'll test you. They'll walk up and they'll see how many times they get challenged. If they don't get challenged, then they know that, when Katie comes in or when someone, well, they pretty much, they know they can get where they want to be within reason. Distractions, they'll distract you. So yeah, I don't know the answer. I just have that intuition now, and I think I've dealt with so many different situations that I kind of foresee it.
Makes me think about, so I've just done an episode with Dr. Charlotte Armitage, and we were talking about,
good.
She was brilliant. I love Charlotte. And she was speaking about, I don't know if you saw this bit, and it's just made me think of you. She was speaking about growing up with a disabled brother and the level of hyper-attunement she needed to have because he obviously didn't like his little sister toddling around sometimes and he would swipe her.
Yeah.
And so she got very good at judging early on in her life when he would hit out.
Yes.
So we spoke about a time when she was in the playground. She wanted to go in because it was cold and wet. And she had this sense that she needed to move because she felt like something was going to come through the window.
Yeah.
She moved and then something did. And she said unconsciously she feels now with the knowledge that she's got. There was lots of examples which we didn't put into the episode, but she felt that she is unconsciously processing information around her. She doesn't realise she's doing that. And that comes from very early on. And so I'm just wondering if it's the same for you, whether that is a different type of brain altogether, or whether for some reason early on in your household, there were times when you had to predict. It could be at school. I mean, being bullied could be one of those things. I've got to predict the next move. Yeah. And then unconsciously, you're always tuned in to a higher level.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I watched that episode, and when she was talking about that, that resonated with me a lot.
Yeah.
But I think you can have so much training, but there's an intuition there. You've seen it so many times. I know when someone, why do they need to start walking this way in that circumstance? Why have they just swapped their carrier bag to the left hand to the right hand as they walk? Wow. There's so many things which you think of, and a lot of people do look, they act awkward as well. There's just little things because they don't know how effective I am. Yeah. They don't know how that client is going to react. It's like asking a girl out on a date and you've never asked her. You're kind of like, do I? So you can see that hesitation in them. Yeah. There have been times when I've been surprised and the most normal person just, something happens. I mean, Leona Lewis, I wasn't working with her on this one, but someone punched Leona Lewis in the face once at a book signing.
Oh my God.
Just a guy come up, can you get a book signed? Yeah, bang, punched in the face. I mean, where's the rationality in that?
Bloody, I mean.
But you wouldn't have thought it. You expect it with some people. Not expect it, but they're a bit more controversial. So the Katie Price stuff, she's so controversial. It's a love or hate. So
you can imagine someone attacking her because she's divisive, isn't she? Yeah. Not that anyone deserves a punch in the face. No one deserves it. Yeah, but you could almost...
You're on a little bit more high threat to some, but with this situation, no. And so I think it's my own intuition now, my gut feeling, because I've seen it and come across it so many times.
Almost a little bit psychic, I suppose.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Because you, again, just going back to that, moving a bit more into you as a person, away from the close protection work, because I really want to explore that. I do feel we've had some brief voice note conversations, haven't we, where you've sort of spoken about not necessarily the spiritual side of things, but energy.
Yes.
And I'm a very, as you know, and I post a lot about energy and ownership of self as well. I think that's so important. Accountability, autonomy of self. Never really blaming somebody else for something that goes wrong, always looking within. Yeah. And I think that we know just from a quantum physics point of view that the way we observe reality changes it. How many times and this has happened to me loads, how many times have we convinced ourselves of something, good or bad, and it's happened? This is why I wanted to come back to the manifestation, right? I've convinced myself, good and bad, of things, and interestingly enough, like I've bent reality by doing that, because the observation of that reality then cultivates thought process, which cultivates belief systems, which cultivates the energy that we emit, which cultivates the actions that we take, which cultivates the outcome. So if you observe reality to be positive or negative within a set time, you will see the results of that. And often we're not mindful that we're doing it. So with you, I'm sure there are examples of both, where you've observed reality a certain way. And don't forget, if there's 8 billion people in the world, there's also 8 billion lenses, 8 billion perceptions. And so all of those perceptions as a collective energy count. And this is where social media, as you've mentioned, and who you surround yourself with is so important in terms of what you observe.
So important.
So I believe that you've manifested loads of really, really good things. Because I think you see things through your own potential, even if you didn't know at the time what your potential was. Explain that to me if you can.
That's a fascinating topic, because I believe in it so much. So I believe that this year for me, for example, coming is a massive year on so many levels. Professionally, personally.
You've said it many times, actually.
Yeah, I have, haven't I? Yeah. And I talk about it a lot. And there's things that I'm so sure about. And in a year's time, I'd like to tell you that they've come to fruition. And
well, you will tell me.
I will.
Yeah.
But I believe in it massively because I've had so many experiences. I touched on it earlier. I wanted to be, I love watching the action heroes of the 90s, right? So one of my biggest heroes was the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno.
I used to love that show.
Yeah, one of the best, right?
One of the best, yeah.
So I thought to myself, I said, well, okay, if I love that, maybe I should get into acting. I'm talking like 10 years ago. And my partner at the time said to me, so that's really interesting because my uncle's a stuntman. I went, really? Okay, long time ago. I said, I'd like to meet him. She said, well, he lives in LA now. He's a stuntman. Comes over every Christmas. I said, well, we need to meet him. All right, then. He's a bit of a twat, actually. I said, no, but I want to meet him. So I met him. Unfortunately, he's passed away now, but his name was Dave Lee. He was the man that played Batman in the costume for Michael Keaton.
Wow.
So those two films, he was the man that did all the scenes.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I met him and I said, it's amazing to meet you. And he was quite cocky, but he deserved to be, I guess. But I said, I want to get into the movies. I want to be a stuntman. He goes, well, everyone says this to me and da-da-da. Anyway, I followed up. I did the stunt training. And he said, who would you love to work with? I said, well, you've worked with Stallone. I'd love to work with Stallone or the Incredible Hulk. He went, well, I don't know, but blah, blah. And he went back to America, did his thing. And I swear to you, about 7 months later, I got a phone call. A friend of mine said to me, because Mark, this guy's coming to the UK to do a film and he wants 3 big guys to be like bodyguards in the movie. I said, yeah, well, I've never done anything before. And he said, yeah, well, if you want to do it. I said, yeah, I'll do it. He said, what's the dollar? I said, I'll do it for free. Again, I'll do it for free.
You do a lot for free.
Even if I only do it once, I don't mind. Anyway, it was in Bristol. So I asked my brother, because he's bigger than me. So brought him along and we had to wear like black suits and black shirts. And we get there and the director, there's like 60 people. And he goes, right, you two brothers, because we look similar. And he goes, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, well, you're going to be the bodyguards for the baddie in the film. I said, yeah, no, whatever you want. He said, you know who the goodie is, don't you? I said, no, we've not been told anything. He said, well, he's an American guy called Lou Ferrigno. I went, nah, you're winding me up. Someone's told you to say that. He goes, no, the Incredible Hulk. I went, the actual Incredible Hulk. He went, yeah. Ella, he was the one, the Incredible Hulk. he was the guy in the film. We were there, and the Incredible Hulk, well, Lou Ferrigno, killed us in the movie.
How
we had to come at him
cool.
with a gun, and he shot us. And after that, so I was blown away anyway. I was like spending the week with this guy. And they finished the film a little bit early. And me and my friend Lorne, we said to Lou, we said, you know, you do Comic-Cons and stuff in San Diego. He said, yeah. I said, there's one in Bournemouth next weekend. Would you be interested in taking part? He said, yeah, I'd love to. He said, but, you know, you'd have to arrange it or, you know. I was okay. So we rang the BIC, which is our local convention centre. And we said, we're with Lou Ferrigno right now. And would you like him at your Comic-Con? They said, and they were like playing it quite cool. Well, it'll cost you this, it'll cost you that. I don't think they thought we were really with him. And as we're talking to Lou, and Lou goes, I'll speak to him. He goes on the phone. He said, do you want me or not? And they're like, that is Lou Ferrigno. Well, yeah, of course. We'd have to pay anything. Just come down. So
As if they were going to charge.
Yeah. So we actually not just did the filming with him, but we brought him to Bournemouth. We spent the day with him, took him back. So it was like the ultimate week.
Your inner child must just have been...
It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that is wild.
Unbelievable.
That is wild.
Yeah. But it's relevant to what you said because I wanted that. I wanted to meet him and I wanted to be in a movie. And it's like 5 seconds, but we're in a movie with Lou Ferrigno. Isn't that amazing? And then it led on to other things. But...
I love all of this because I believe we've all got this idea about, you know, I said it earlier, good luck, bad luck. And like anyone can tell a story and you can see the good, bad and ugly in everybody's story. No one's had a completely linear experience. Very few people have had a perfectly happy experience. There's been many ups and downs in many people's lives. And that's why I love the job that I do, because you get to see the realness of the human experience. But what I totally believe, having done the work that I've done for a really long time, doing trauma-focused work mostly, is that you can take somebody from being a nervous wreck that can barely get out of their house, can barely speak, to completely changing their life and achieving things that they never thought possible because of the way they observe reality. Yeah. And I think if you've got a very flexible way of thinking, because I think I always say this, I've probably said it on many episodes now, but flexibility is the biggest indicator of good mental health because you have to be able to move and adapt and be flexible to your environment, to your emotions, to everything. But you also need to be mindful. Do you think that you've always been mindful, that you have that kind of, I said psychic power, but that ability to tap in?
No, I don't think I've always had it. I've always been very positive. Yeah. I've always been a believer that good things will come and if you put your mind to stuff, but no, I wouldn't say I've had that power, but the last 10 years...
You've harnessed it.
Oh, I mean, to a different level. I mean,
which is so important to hear, because people need to know that you don't have to be born with this. It's not like a special superhero ability.
No, definitely not. I mean, I as I said, up till 30, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do in my life, really. Yeah. I wouldn't... I was confident in my physical ability. Yeah. But I didn't have confidence in... I wouldn't even know how to ask a girl out on a date. I mean, seriously, my confidence at other things was not good. I didn't know what I wanted to do for work. But then everything just changed for me and I started to understand myself. And then, as I say, when I got to 40, it was a major turning point for me. As a result of some bad stuff that happened, I started to look into myself and learn more about myself. I wanted to get into life coaching and NLP and things like that. And as I was doing it, I was actually learning more about myself and the things that I needed to sort out in my life. Yeah. More than I actually was wanting to do for others. It was strange. And then so my power of my mind to make things happen then just at a different level. And
so important you say that. So important you say that, because we are essentially robots. By the time we get to 35, around about 40 is often a pivotal point for a lot of people, including me actually. But you feel, because so much of us in terms of cellular response neuroplasticity isn't just about the brain, it's about the brain-body system. And it's so heavily programmed. I've said this many times, but I'm going to say it again. We have more connections in our brain than there are stars in the galaxy.
Wow.
Our heart was beating before our brain was even formed in the womb. We have at least 70 trillion cells, 38 trillion thereabouts are the sort of more what we call the solid cells, if you like. And the other stuff is like bacteria and microbial. But in addition to that, I mentioned about energy earlier. The energy that we emit is about 10 feet around us. Yeah. So it's felt that far around us. You can feel it before you're close to someone, you know. And then in addition to this, we've got this... What people probably don't understand with physics and energy is that we've got 40,000 or thereabouts neurites in the heart, 150,000 thereabouts in the gut, and billions in the brain. Wow. But the heart is the strongest resonance by about 60 times. So it's 60 times stronger than any other part of our body in terms of the energy that we emit. Yeah. So when you take all of that into account, if you're not tapping in, then you're not going to get the results that you want to get. You've got to understand, we are, I think it's 99.999999% nothing. And everything that seems solid is vibrational force. So when we talk about frequency and energy, if we're 99.99999% nothing, and we're only a tiny bit something, and it's the same with the unconscious and the conscious. Out of those trillions of cells that we are, 95% of them are unconscious and only 5% are conscious. So with all that being said, you know, the cognitive layer of who we are is minute. The rest of it is energy and the rest of it is unconscious. So I wanted to say that before I said the next bit, which is through our conditioning, through our life experiences, through our belief systems, through that limited mindset as opposed to the flexible, we believe what we believe and it's hard to shift that. If you're being led by people that aren't good people, so whether it's in your home or in your school or, you know, in your peer group, goes to the knife crime thing that we'll get onto, or even on social media, what you're watching to, what you're listening to on the news, on whatever, then you're programmed in this particular way. That's right. And you don't even realise it. So when you get to the point where you realise, actually, there's some bad shit that's gone down, I need to look at myself, I need to work on myself, and you start to explore these things, be it on that energetic level or not, that's when the change happens. It's going back to self. So what were the kind of, you don't have to say exactly, but what were the kind of events that made you really look in the mirror?
Well, in the space of 6 months, I had 2 businesses at the time. One I loved, but I fell out with my business partner. But as a fallout, we just weren't getting along. Ironically, he was like my best friend. So I realised that business and pleasure often doesn't work. That was a lesson I've learned. But that came to an end. Well, it was coming to an end. There's always red tape, isn't it? Then another business. I had a very, very large security company. I did everything in the town. And that kind of was coming to an end, but that was for different reasons. I had a relationship which was going, well, I should have left a long time ago, but I didn't. And it was basically everything that could happen happened at the same time. Because of that, I was not looking after myself. I wasn't sleeping enough. I wasn't going to the gym enough. And that's a massive thing for me. Fitness, just to keep my mind right is important. So I came, but I also had an ego. I had a big ego. I like driving nice cars. I like nice things because it had been generated by the industry I was in. Because I was, every Friday and Saturday night, I was putting 70, 80 guys out on doors. Everywhere I went, Mark's here, Mark, yes, Mark, great, Mark. Half of them probably didn't really like me, but they're bigging me up all the time. And it feeds your ego.
Absolutely, it does.
And it's not something I was proud of, but I recognised it. So I got to the point where I thought, this isn't really me. I don't want all this. I don't want people calling me up all the time. Can you do me a favour for this? You know, you can do this, you can do that. You're the man that can do that. I don't want to be that man. No. I just want to look after myself and the people that are important to me. Not everybody else, because you don't really care anyway.
Yeah, you recognise that after a time.
You know, I see like nightclub owners. They are hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers. See what happens when they don't own that nightclub anymore. No one cares.
No, you're right.
Because
it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. And I was that guy. I was becoming that guy, and I didn't like it. So my ego needed to be sorted out.
Why didn't you like it? How did you separate the ego from the core self? How did you know?
Because I know I'm not that person, and
It just didn't sit right.
I was going out, and I felt I needed to be a certain way, like people were using my name for things which, why? We've got a problem. Well, I'm Mark's mate, so if you have a problem, he's going to deal with that.
So they were using you.
I don't want to do it. What am I doing? Well, look, but I am dealing with it because I've created this position.
Yeah. So you were wearing a mask.
It was a mask. It wasn't like I couldn't deal with it. I don't want to be dealing with it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do things right. You've met me. I'm polite. I'm respectful. I'm not a gangster. I don't want to be a gangster.
No.
But you're in a world where you can get dragged in because you have to deal with not nice people.
Very true. I've heard this a lot.
If you're running pubs and clubs, doormen.
Gyms, even gyms.
You've also got, gyms.
Yeah.
You're talking about 60, 70, 80, 90 guys. I used to do Roger Woodall's, for example, rugby sevens.
Yeah, that's Dodge for people that don't know, yeah.
You'd have 80 staff there for that alone. So in the event seasons, I might have 300 guys out there.
Yeah.
They're all full, not all of them. They're all big ego-filled guys.
Yeah.
But I've got to be the top guy.
Yeah.
But,
oh my God, yeah.
But I don't want to be that. I have to be because otherwise I take advantage. I just want to go to work, say, right, guys, this is where you're going to be. You can do that. You get paid. Let's have fun. Have a nice night. Do the job right. But there's other security companies, and then there's people that wants to come into your town and they want clubs to sell drugs.
Of course.
So before you know it, you're this guy that everyone wants to band around their name, and that's not me.
You've just made me think. Off camera, we were talking, weren't we, about Bonnie Blue, and you just saying that has made me think. So for context, we were just saying that I'm kind of sick of seeing her, and I don't mean that
Me too.
I really don't mean to be
I
disrespectful.
even blocked
to
her on Instagram.
Did you really?
Because you still see her stuff here, but I don't want to see that again.
I know, and it's a shame really because I feel bad saying that woman to woman. You know, I don't want to be that woman that's like, oh. Yeah. But honestly, the message that she's putting out is horrific.
I think so.
But you saying that about, kind of Marc with a C, Smith, being the name that everybody's using, having to get involved in things you don't want to get involved with, the mask that you created that you had to wear whether you liked it or not. And I'm sure, having spoken about a lot of celebrities today and a lot of people that have done that in their own lives, and she's one of them. And once you create that character, boy, is it hard to get away from.
Hard.
You have to do a lot of work to come out of that character. And I'm mentioning that because I don't think people realise with Bonnie Blue, yes, she's definitely personality disorder, and yes, she's a concern for the young girls coming out. She really concerns me what the impact that she has. However, I dare say she is trapped in a mask that she did not realise was going to create such a big impact in a negative way.
Massively.
And although your story is not similar to that at all, the principle is the same.
Yeah.
And if we use principles like Bonnie Blue, like you, and people look at their own lives, not to the same scale that you were at, but we all create that persona. We all create that temperament. We all become that personality, and we all feel trapped sometimes. Absolutely. But you actually really quite dramatically decided, I'm going to work on myself. Yeah. I'm going to change everything. And you did.
Yeah, I did. And I changed, like I say, my career. I removed so many people from my world. And I'm pleased. And I sit in a place now where I do the things I enjoy. With the people that I love and care about, and that's it. And if I, we're here today because I like your energy.
Oh, and ditto.
I'm about energy, like the stuff with Jeff. Yeah. I liked him. I liked his energy, so I was prepared to. I just judge is not the word. I feel that energy in an instant.
Yeah.
So if you're not good for me, it doesn't mean you're a good or bad person. If I feel a bad vibe, I just politely just don't get involved.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So
and
that
that's how I am.
intuition has become like a compass for
It's
you.
unbelievably strong.
Yeah.
And the other, I look at it, and when I talk about intuition and gut feelings, I think every single time in my life that I've ignored my gut,
Oh, yes.
and I've made the wrong decision,
Yeah.
and I think, why did I? So I've learned now, if I feel it now, I do it. I don't ignore it anymore.
It's so powerful because I say this time and time again, the intuition, the gut never ever lies. It's the truest thing.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Super intelligence to a level that no AI computer, no technology
No.
will ever be able to replicate.
So,
AI can replicate a lot of things, but it will never replicate that.
Yeah.
It will never. You must not ignore your gut ever.
No, I've learned that lesson so many times.
Yeah.
Whether it's relationships, business,
Yeah.
trusting people,
Yeah.
there's always something that says, don't do that, don't do that. And I'm like, oh, well, give them the benefit of the doubt. And every time my gut was right.
Yeah.
So now I listen to my gut.
That's the most profound thing we can ever do. I truly believe that. Now let's look at this. Now we've covered your life. I really think it was important to cover your life in that detail especially to talk about good luck, bad luck, conditioning, programming, your super intuitive powers that you have, the way that you've manifested many, many things in your life, many people.
Loads.
There's loads.
Yeah.
And we could sit here for days because I'm sure the stories you've got are insane. But what I'm really interested in is this guy that went from being the man in town that had to deal with all the problems and was tired and fed up and changed his life, now focusing on the younger folk coming through and wanting to do something really important in that area with young kids, knife crime, boxing.
Yes.
Talk to me a bit about that.
So I started doing some mentoring, as I mentioned. And basically we would go to the parents' house, and little Sally or Tom, whatever, would come out, and you'd spend 3 hours a day. You take them somewhere. You have to kind of fit a criteria syllabus. So it might be geography or something. And bear in mind, these are all kids which are seen as troublesome and they can't go to school because they're too violent. I just thought to myself, well, 3 hours with me, they're great.
Yeah.
What's the problem here?
Yeah.
And I started to realise very quick, it's not always, it's the parents.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to their door, you're taking them, and they're like, yeah, brilliant, okay, see you soon. And then dropping them back 3 hours later, thanks very much, see you later. And I think, hang on, you know me, but you don't really know me. I've just taken your son or daughter up for 3 hours, do some activities. You've not even asked what they've done.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, and it happens so much. And it's the same with the boxing. What I wanted to do some mentoring, but not just the mentoring, but use what I know, which is boxing. And I thought, let's get them into the boxing gym in a community. So it doesn't have to be a boxing gym where they're learning to compete.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that. This is to get them together, and we would play games and things, and like they would do exercises where they work on fairness, teamwork, manners. So if they come in, they're like, fuck this, fuck that. I'm like, hey, we don't like that in here. I'm not going to say don't do that. But we don't like that in here. Or I'd ask them, why are you swearing? Well, you're doing it. It's a boxing gym. Not really. Not really. Just, I don't want you to swear in here. Is that right? Yeah. And look, within weeks, they're like, they don't swear at all. They're like, hiya, this is great. And now, then you get new people through, and they start swearing, and I say, that was you once. And they're like, oh, God, I can't believe that. And they might be like 8 or 9 years old, but they're already realising.
Wow.
So I understand that the knife issue is Bournemouth's not the worst, don't get me wrong. There's a lot worse, but it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So I understand that with that I believe that a lot of these kids that are a problem with the knives, not all of them, but they're because they have no purpose in life.
Yes.
And their parents are not asking them what they're doing. If all parents, and I know there's some really hardcore kids, but if all parents said, what are you carrying before you go out?
Yeah.
Have you got what are you carrying it for? Self-defense? I know you can't give them a clip right here or now, but take account of your kids. don't let them go out with these
It's
things.
just awful.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just
Because some of them
awful.
don't care.
I am so saddened by it.
Mm.
I'm so saddened by the lack of care that parents have for their kids.
Yep.
I understand trauma breeds more trauma. I get that. You know, I'm not trying to judge here. It's just so sad. It's just that we have lost so much of the basic framework of family systems,
Yeah.
of community systems. I mean, I'm like banging a drum here because I say it on every episode,
Yeah.
but I won't stop saying it.
No, never stop.
I'm not. However repetitive this is, it has to be said. I mean, there was a kid locally here, Fred, killed on the way home from school, and 2 lads stabbed him and through the heart, and he died. And it was really, really sad because it was the first situation that we'd had really in the town where just a kid walking home from school had got into a bit of an argument with another, set of kids. And anyway, it ended up on an ITV thing where they were covering the crimes, knife crime in general, I think. I can't remember what it was about, but it was basically about knife crime across the country. Yeah. And it was a police officer that was talking about his experience of it. And anyway, so they showed some of the footage. And what was heartbreaking was not only that Fred died, and that was awful, but you see the police breaking into the house of the kids that had stabbed him. And they showed you the knife. I mean, these were, what do they call these monster knives? I mean, they're literally...
Zombie knives.
That's it, zombie knives.
Unbelievable.
But what was really, it was so sad, was the boy that had stabbed him, or one of them, was 14. Yeah. And you see obviously the dash cam footage. Is it dash cam or GoPro?
Body camera.
Body camera of the police officers. And the 14-year-old boy who had stabbed him is hiding behind a chest of drawers, and he's scared because you've got these armed police coming in, and what you realise is this boy that's just killed another boy is a boy. Exactly. He's a child, and he's scared because he's going to get arrested and go to prison, and he's just killed someone or been involved in. And I just remember thinking, we sit here and we hear it all the time, but seeing his scared little face is just a tiny little baby boy.
Exactly.
And that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with big men going out there doing this. These are babies.
Exactly.
So what you're doing, it's really about installing that framework that we've lost so much of.
Yeah. That's the scary thing. There's so much gang culture now. Yeah. There's so many kids they have to carry stuff because
everybody else is.
Exactly. It's what's expected of them. And that's really, really sad. There are kids out there that will end up stabbing someone. They never, ever dreamt of it. They never wanted to do it. They just carried that blade. It doesn't make it right, but they carried that blade because the group around them told them to do it. As a kid, I was never, you're kind of peer pressured into going places, but no one could ever get me to carry a knife or a gun or do drugs if I didn't want to do it. No one could make me do it. But that's because I always ultimately knew that most people weren't doing it, and my parents would have been massively pissed off.
Oh, you would have got disciplined.
Yeah. And I would have listened to my teachers.
Yeah.
And I know that absolute worst case, if the police come knocking at the door, my mum is going to be horrified.
Yeah.
They don't care anymore.
No.
So they're just carrying stuff. I mean, I've got a very good friend of mine. He hit all the national newspapers recently. He's a policeman. He got dismissed because he apprehended someone with a knife. And he said some things as he put the guy on the floor, like that he shouldn't have said, but the guy he did have a knife. I think he was 15, and he had already assaulted 2 people in Bournemouth Town Centre. One was an old man at McDonald's.
Oh my God.
And my friend, his name's Lorne, he wouldn't mind me mentioning him, Lorne. And he got dismissed because of the terminology he used. But he was seriously under threat. He put the guy on the floor. And as soon as the guy, this kid, realised that he wasn't going to get his own way, get off me, you're hurting me.
Yeah. Turns into the baby again.
Hold on, you've just been around. You've got a blade in your pocket. You're going to do, you're serious. There's intent to do that. You've already assaulted an old man. And but he's been sacked for that or dismissed from the police. So.
What's the boy got?
nothing, no further action.
Oh my
So
God.
what are we saying to people now?
This
This is the problem.
you could, as a police officer,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know what he said, and we
Yeah.
won't cover that today.
Yeah.
But whatever, we've all said things that if we've been heard by the people,
Exactly.
we wouldn't want to be heard, right? Okay, so
Yeah, exactly that.
so I'm not. I don't know what's been said,
Yeah.
but what I do know is if there's a young kid carrying a weapon
Yeah.
and people are being hurt,
Yeah.
sometimes the things you say are probably not going to be the most professional.
Absolutely.
Just last night, I think it was across the park around here, there was 3 boys that assaulted a woman and just punched her to the ground. And it's like, like you say, because they know nothing's going to come of
Yeah.
it, they will do what they want. And the problem is you've got TikTok, you've got Snapchat, you've got all these social medias that the kids use that are showing it and glamorizing it and making it look normal and cool. Then there's no punishment. And how can we as adults blame those kids?
No.
We can't. We blame the parents. We blame the system,
Yeah.
which is on every level letting all of us down.
Yeah.
And then it's people like you, thank God,
Yeah.
that are coming in and seeing that we need to do something
Yeah.
about it. Because if you're not doing it,
Yeah.
it's certainly not happened systemically.
No.
Teachers have got no control. Police have got no control.
The problem is there's so many people that think like us and they know it's wrong and they know they want to see action,
Yeah.
but no one does anything.
No, you're right.
And
You're
that's-
absolutely right.
That's what frustrates me. And I used to say, I'm going to do this. And the amount of people that said to me, great, mate, you're a good guy. It ain't going to work. It's not going to make a difference. Okay, well, we'll stick with it. The boxing classes, we did like 6 months of it. It's all free, volunteer. I had a couple of friends of mine that helped me. And everyone make no difference. And in the end, there's a charity in Bournemouth called Changes Are Made. And the lady that runs it, her grandson unfortunately died. He got stabbed. His name was Cameron.
God.
Hence the acronym CAM, Changes Are Made. She come along, she said, look, this is really good, the youth boxing sessions. Could we team up with you? And we put a CAM boxing club together. You coach it for us. And they got funding for it. So
Wow.
now the boxing sessions they're on every week for the rest of this year. And hopefully they'll continue.
Amazing.
We were fortunate that, and I'm not into politics at all. I don't have faith in politicians, but
No.
we do have a very good MP in Bournemouth. Her name's Jessica Toll. She became MP, very recent, and she got really behind it. And she spoke in the House of Commons, and she said the CAM Boxing Club and the youth boxing sessions are really important. So with her giving it a push as well,
Yes.
it's massively helped. But I see, sometimes we'll get 35 kids in the class. It's in quite a hard area. It's called West Howe Community. And all the parents come along, they watch the kids training, and they absolutely love it. And all I think is we've got 35 kids in there that are spending 2 hours a week training instead of them being out on the field hanging around other kids
Doing God knows what.
who are probably carrying blades, setting light to bins and stuff like that. So even 2 hours a week, if they go away and then they talk about it and they train and they start to adopt a healthier way of living,
Yes.
and they're not going to go into school, because I always say to them, I said, look, when I say to you, I don't want you swearing here, that applies to your school as well. And I'm not going to speak to their teachers, but I say to them, so if I ever hear a teacher say that, little Bailey come in and he was like, fuck you, you're not coming back to our class. They went, really? I said, yes, because the point of this is to understand good life skills and good morals. Same as if you're being horrible to your mum, I kind of tongue in cheek, but I want them to understand that this is about lifestyle choices.
Wow.
So so they don't do the horrible stuff, because little things lead to bigger things and bigger, and then, do you know what I mean?
Why have we lost so much of that though, Mark? I mean, thank God you're doing it, and thank God so many other people are doing things like that. But why? I mean, I know it's a systemic issue. I get that. Like, funding was pulled. We've got far too many people in small spaces and, not enough resources and all of that. I get that. But the fundamentals of parenting as well, I can only imagine that the trauma's just trickled down to the point where those that are our age that weren't looked after are now incapable of looking after their kids who have also probably had kids, and the trickle effect. But it just feels obscene that maybe again, we grew up in the 80s. It was like, I know it seems like forever ago to someone who's 18, but to us it feels like yesterday. It feels that it's changed to a level that is unrecognisable, and I don't get it.
Well, the other thing is, and you'll understand this far more than I do, but like, obviously, when you're an impressionable age, all you're seeing, like you said, on Instagram, is violence.
Yeah.
Every day I open an Instagram account, I see kids smashing a police car up.
Oh my life.
What is that saying? Is it acceptable? Music as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's awful.
I know some really nice kids. They'll do some training with me. They'll post a really cool video, a picture, but it's got like the most aggressive music over it.
I know.
That's not you.
No.
But it's like the people don't listen to, but nice music, nice films, just nice things. And social media is so aggressive. And I think that's a major part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's also an algorithm thing, because you're saying about that, people smashing it. I don't see any of that.
Oh,
I see a lot of little puppies.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant.
Kittens,
that's brilliant.
Things that are cute. I see a lot of nice things.
Yeah.
I think because my algorithm is what I'm looking for. Some funny things.
Yeah.
And it's the same with TikTok and everything else. It literally learns you, doesn't it? So I'm not suggesting that you're violent, but obviously you've seen something and watched it for longer.
Yeah,
do you know?
that's right.
And actually, that's an interesting thing. So I was with a friend once, and he was showing me something on his Instagram, and this thing comes up with these women with like nothing on. And he went, "Oh my God, why is that there for?" I said, "Well, it's your algorithm. You tell me."
Yeah.
But he went, "No, it always happens. I always get these half-naked women." I said, "Well, I don't know why you're asking me the question."
Mine's all boxing and bodybuilding stuff. And, mostly boxing. But I do see a lot of those videos. And
and it's probably because you're interested in these subjects, so that you've gone down the rabbit hole of listening to certain things. But I think overall, it's about where people are saying to you, "There's no point." That's the problem.
That is exactly the problem.
That's the problem, is that everyone goes, "Well, there's no point. There's no point."
They're saying that to their kids.
Yeah.
What's the point in going there for 2 hours a week, son? Well, I like it. And it's good. Yeah, but what are you going to do? You're going to learn boxing? You're going to fight? No, but
it's not really the point.
Exactly, and that's what it is.
And it's about paying it forward as well, because you only say you had 35 kids going, 2 of those pay that forward.
Totally.
And then pay it forward again, and pay. Now I mentioned the collective with the 8 billion people and the the mindsets and the energy. Now we're starting to build a collective energy in certain communities, and I do think this is important to mention as well, that we can look nationwide and we can look countrywide, worldwide, but if we focus on our little areas,
totally.
Because it does take a village to raise a child.
Totally.
So you've got to focus on your little area. You can't save the world in one go.
No.
As much as you might, have that ability to look after a lot of people and protect a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's those that are closest to you that we've really got to focus on.
I always say, I can't change the world, but I can change someone's world.
Yeah, that's so true.
And that's how I think.
Yeah.
Even if one person's world is better.
Yeah.
For the right choices, then that's worth it,
Do you know what? That brings me full circle, really, as we come to a close, because what you've just said there is quite profound, especially if I think about where we started in this episode, which was talking about your mum.
Yeah.
Who did you say she's 70?
74 now.
74, I think, and she's still working in the care homes.
I know, it's crazy.
And she'll be doing her little bit to change someone's world every single day.
Yeah.
So you obviously get something from your mum in that respect.
That's true, actually. She doesn't need to work. She just loves it, and she'll never give up until she can't. But yeah, she loves it. It's very true. Very important.
You've obviously got quite a lot of that energy from her.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
But you're probably right.
Because to be 74, I know it gives her a sense of purpose, which goes back to what you were saying about the kids not having a purpose.
Yeah.
But I'd also imagine it gives her a great sense of joy.
Oh, massively does. Yeah, she loves it. She absolutely loves her job. Even though we always, as our sons, because she does a lot of hours, and we're like, you need to cut these hours down. So I might cut them down soon, but she just keeps on. But
what would she do if she did, though?
Well, that is the point.
Because when people stop, they seize up, really, don't they?
I know.
So actually, maybe this is her reason for living, you know, to look
She's
after
right.
people,
No, you're right.
which is not too dissimilar from you.
No.
So there's a lot of similarities there. She might be 5'4" and 74.
Yeah.
But I'd say that you two are more similar than you perhaps
Yeah.
realised.
It probably is. Probably are, yeah.
I doubt she's ever done close protection work. But
No, she wasn't overly keen on me doing that, to be fair.
mind you, if she did, she'd be like the character Gangster Granny, wouldn't she?
She would be. She would be, yeah.
Mark, it has been
Yeah.
really interesting.
Brilliant. Thank
For
you.
me, I honestly could have been here for hours. I know you've got to drive back 3 hours to Bournemouth now,
Yeah.
and then you've got something to do later, so I can't
Yeah.
keep you. But it has been far more. I hope we covered everything you wanted to cover.
Yeah, we covered everything, and we went into deep detail on things I didn't expect to go into. So
Yeah, it's fascinating. You've got a fascinating life now. You've had a fascinating life for some time.
Yeah.
You've got a fascinating mindset. And I think, you know, this year, like you say, your 50th year,
yeah, it's a big one.
it's a very big one. And I don't know where you're going to end up, but I'd imagine
Oh.
it's going to be something big.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been amazing.
It's been a pleasure.